This isn't just a story about judgment, it's a story about choices, attachments, and what happens when we look back. Even when God has already told us to move forward. In Genesis 19, Lot flees the burning city of Sodom, warned by angels to escape without hesitation. But his wife's glance back sealed a fate that echoes through millennia. Today, science and faith meet in a fascinating tension. Archaeological discoveries challenge what we thought we knew, while ancient texts remind us of spiritual truths. This story is just ancient history. It's a living challenge to each of us. Why does it still confront us so deeply? A relationship just because it felt right, a job for status, a shortcut out of fear to wait. The modern world is full of Sodoms disguised as opportunity. Learning to say no to what shines might be the wisest way to say yes to what frees. And the curious thing is, that's exactly where Lot chose to sit. Because this journey will take you deep into mystery, faith, and the choices that define our lives. If this stirs something inside you, go ahead and subscribe now. Lot saw the green pastures and thought, this is where my life will thrive. He didn't ask if there was peace, purpose, or God's presence there. He lived in tents but built altars. He didn't choose the best piece of land. He chose God's direction. The difference between them, one was guided by the eyes, the other by faith, and that reminds us of something profound. Success without wisdom is just a pretty path to the abyss. He just saw the shine of the land and ignored the city's shadows. It was like taking a dream salary in a place that slowly drains your soul. A pretty package with poisonous content. Sometimes ambition blinds wisdom, and the wrong choice comes wrapped in sparkling opportunities. Meanwhile, on the other side of the story, Abraham was heading into the unknown. How many times have we accepted a gift from fate without considering the hidden price? Lot sat at the gate of the city, a place of judgment, authority, influence. That small detail reveals a lot. He wasn't just living in Sodoma, he was part of it. Lot had status. Yes, but at what cost? He gained a seat, but lost his sight. He wanted respect from a place that never respected what was sacred, and many today do the same. They seek approval in environments that quietly erode their essence. Like someone who climbs the corporate ladder, only to realize the building is on fire. You can be in a high position and still be deeply lost. Lot's wife became a monument, a silent witness frozen in time, a pillar of salt, standing alone in the vastness, whispering to every generation that followed. This is what it looks like when the heart won to let go. Her body stopped, but her story kept walking. Lot's wife didn't look back accidentally. She looked back because her heart never truly left. It's nostalgia for what once enslaved you. Like someone breaking free from a toxic relationship, but that's still replaying the good memories, forgetting the pain. In Luke 9:62, Jesus says, anyone who looks back is not fit for the kingdom. That hits hard, because it's about divided hearts. That one look was loaded with attachment, a refusal to let go of what God had already rejected. In biblical times, sitting at the gate meant you were a decision maker. Sometimes we stay where we were only meant to pass through, trying to start fresh while sneaking glances at old comfort zones. And each time we do, we risk freezing in a moment God called us to escape. So, the real question is, how many times have you turned your head, knowing you shouldn't, for status, for comfort, for fear of being forgotten? But what's the price of acceptance in a place where our soul shrinks? A good question to ask is, are you chasing belonging in a place that is slowly dimming your light? It wasn't just a glance, it was a decision. A silent rebellion wrapped in longing. Spiritually, looking back is more than curiosity. We've all been there, wanting to move forward, but dragging the weight of old stories behind us. She didn't turn to dust. She didn't disappear. Mount Sodom still holds formations of salt that many believe echo that ancient moment. Historians like Josephus wrote about travelers seeing the pillar with their own eyes. It wasn't myth, it was memory made matter. Every grain of salt, a trace of a soul torn between two worlds. Her legacy, a caution written not in ink, but in earth. It's haunting, isn't it? That something invisible, a desire, a hesitation, a hidden attachment, could manifest into something so permanent. A layer of destruction, intense heat, melted bricks, scorched pottery, pointed to a sudden explosion above 2000 Celsius. Not war, not fire, something far more violent. It matched the biblical account down to the ash. And maybe that's the point. What we cling to in secret eventually becomes visible. In our habits, our decisions, our silence. A gesture, a scream, a glance, suspended in time. The heat didn't just destroy, it preserved. As if history itself wanted us to see what happens when warnings go unheeded. The damage was identical, instant, total, inexplicable. And among the salt cliffs of Mount Sodom, there stands a human-shaped pillar. You can measure the heat, date the debris, scan the soil. But how do you measure a warning from heaven? Sometimes truth doesn't scream. It lingers in stone, waiting for hearts ready to hear. Maybe that's what makes it so powerful. The silence that says everything, a natural formation, they say, but too haunting, too poetic to ignore. Science explains the event, but meaning, that's another field entirely. So, we must ask, what parts of us are quietly solidifying? When scientists arrived at Tal el-Hammam, they weren't looking for divine fingerprints. But what they found shook their categories. Geologists propose a cosmic airburst, like a meteor exploding midair, similar to what happened in Tunguska, Russia. This is where facts and faith dance awkwardly together. Pompeii and Sodom, two cities, centuries apart, but frozen in the same terrifying instant. In both, people were caught mid-motion. Walk through the ruins of Pompeii and you'll see people curled on the ground, as if time paused mid-tragedy. Sodom, though less intact, whispers the same message. Not all destruction is sudden. Some starts slowly, with small compromises. And then, without notice, it's too late to run. These cities are mirrors held up to humanity. How many parts of us are still frozen in a moment that already passed? Paralyzed by regret, by fear, by memories we refuse to bury. Maybe the ruins around us aren't made of stone. Maybe they're emotional, relational, spiritual, a reflection of what happens when the past feels safer than the promise ahead. She wasn't evil, she was attached, and that's what makes it scary. Sometimes, we're not destroyed by rebellion, but by hesitation. Don't romanticize what God already burned. Don't trade your destiny for old chains wrapped in comfort. A witness not to destruction, but to indecision. A statue in the silence, forever asking, what held you back? The future demands forward eyes, even when the past whispers sweetly. But what if we don't just learn from her? What if we're still repeating her? One glance, one what if, and we freeze. His daughters carried Sodom with them, not in their hands, but in their minds. What they saw growing up shaped what they later did in that cave. The city was gone, but its culture lived on. That's the danger. Environments can plant seeds that outlast the flames. And just like in those ancient cities, they beg the question, what will it take for us to move again? Lot escaped the fire, but not all of it stayed behind. Their story is uncomfortable, raw, and deeply human. Raised in chaos, they acted out of fear, and from what they had normalized. No sermon Lot preached could undo the years they spent watching compromise. And that's true today too. Children learn more from what we tolerate than from what we say. Our silence educates just as loudly. So, what are we allowing to shape our homes? Is it the noise of culture? Or the whisper of wisdom? Netflix raises as many kids as parents do. Maybe more. If you want different fruit, you need to plant different seeds. And that starts with asking, what's quietly growing in your house right now? Comfort has a way of disguising captivity. We choose the known struggle over the unknown breakthrough. We call it stability, but deep down, we know it's fear. And the longer we stay, the harder it becomes to leave. Lot's wife isn't just a story, she's a mirror. Many today are still living in Sodom, not because they love it, but because it's familiar. The pillar stands as a quiet scream. Don't look back. Lot's wife was never forgotten. She became part of the landscape, a figure carved by time, frozen in her final choice. She turned into salt, and in the Bible, salt is a symbol of covenant, but also of judgment. It preserves, yes, but it also exposes. Her story preserved a moment when a human heart couldn't decide between the past and the promise. Somewhere out in that desert, a woman still looks back. Like, share, subscribe, because this isn't just an archaeological find. It's a cry to your soul, and if you listen close enough, you'll hear her whisper, will you move forward ... or will you stay here with me? And maybe the real question is this: are you trying to carry forward something God already reduced to ashes? If this story spoke to something inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Next episode suggestion and screen. They prove the destruction of Sodom. What Tal el-Hammam reveals about the final judgment will connect Genesis to Revelation. Sodom to the new Babylon. The fire may have fallen once ... but will it fall again?